what I do is I have a VA who's amazing, who kind of knows exactly everything that's going on. She's able to go summarize the priority emails for me. So instead of me going through, clicking through all the emails, the important emails, she just in one shot gives me the bullet points. Hey, this person needs a response. This person wants this. This person wants this.
I said, I want to know every AI company out there right now that can assist in the marketing of a law firm. I thought maybe she's going to come back with like 5. She came up with like 48 companies. And I'm like, wow.
A lot of people, by the way, that test out ChatGPT are like, oh, it gets things incorrectly. That's based on the prompt that you give it. If you give it a much better prompt, a more specific prompt, then it gives you better answers. So a lot of people like question it. That means you haven't really tested it to its true capability. There are some conferences that are better than others. Let's be frank. And there are some that's probably a complete waste of time. Most probably 80 to 90% of people that could go to a certain conference come back and be like, I'm not gonna go back. And the same people also basically shared that essentially I believe 80 to 90% of the entire workforce will 100% get affected by this in some shape or form, including professionals and including lawyers.
Welcome to my legal academy, helping lawyers work smart, scale fast, and enjoy life.
First of all, good to have you guys here, and we're having Hamid and Sam. Hope you guys have been enjoying these. We already posted these on my YouTube channel, and I believe Hamid,
we're doing that this week, and we're posting it this week also.
Yeah, your company's name?
LegalSoft.
What do they do?
We do everything about law. So we do everything from scaling a law firm to staffing a law firm and creating a virtual law practice.
Got it. And what I do, if you guys don't already know me, I'm a lawyer, but I help lawyers run their dream law firm, help them get more clients, create systems, automations, virtual assistants, and also more importantly, freeing up more time and also enjoying your life. So today we have a lot of interesting, fun topics. First is we're gonna kind of go into what our typical day looks like, and let's just kind of psychoanalyze our Thursdays. So what does your typical day look like, and like what'd you do today?
Well, it starts usually about 6:30 in the morning, kind of early on. Basically, first catch up with all the emails, all the follow-ups and everything, and then pretty much from there on, my assistant schedules me minute by minute for the rest of the day, which I don't even have a break to actually go eat. But I usually do that at about 3 p.m. and then after 3 p.m. I control my own time. So from like 8:30 till about 3 o'clock is everybody else's time, and after that is my time.
So it's basically it seems like to be 90% meetings and 10% emails.
Oh, absolutely. The email part is, you know me, I'm like a one-liner. So even if I get 100 emails, there's like just 100 half-a-liners, basically. Yes, no, do it. Why isn't it done? It's all kind of stuff like that. You hate email.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you do with your emails, but I don't want to be your shoes because you don't do emails.
Yeah, basically, obviously most people's businesses runs through our emails, but I can't stand it because it's never ending. Right, and if something's never ending, I just don't see the light at the end of that tunnel. I'm like, what am I doing this for? And I've been experimenting. About 4 or 5 years ago, I basically created a system out of desperation to create templates and sequences for my virtual assistants and our team to be able to answer emails on my behalf. And that has worked out very successfully because for the past 4 or 5 years, my emails, 95 to 98% of my emails have been answered. And now, for the last
Does that include my emails? Because
no.
I'm counting on your answers.
No, so that's the good part. So 95 to 98 are filtered through, but then those 2 to 5% are I create rules over time, whether it comes from certain people like yourself, or if it contains certain words or certain subject lines, it could basically get filtered to me. But the last 6 months, you know what? I'm like, can I even take this to the end level? Can I just not answer my emails? It's been very sporadic. I would say I probably answer my emails on average 2 or 3 times a week at most, if that, probably 30 minutes max. And the good news is nothing has broken. If anything, everything has continued. And if anything, things have flourished because I haven't been stressed out from that part of my life. So I could now focus on the connections and the networks and the building and the funnels and the systems and all that stuff. So things have actually improved.
Right.
And I know you probably don't see it, but I want to challenge you to potentially get to that level too.
Well, a whole bunch of mine is like asking for approval for things. And the reason it comes to me because it's sort of passed already a couple other layers. So I can't train anybody to say approving sort of expenditures and decisions and so forth. I don't think I can filter that part out.
I could because actually what I do is I have a VA who's amazing, who kind of knows exactly everything that's going on. She's able to go summarize the priority emails for me. So instead of me going through, clicking through all the emails, and the important emails, she just in one shot gives me the bullet points. Hey, this person needs a response. This person wants this person wants this. And I just give one-word answers to that VA, 20 minutes per week. And she goes and handles or manages the entire thing. So maybe getting a summary of
Yeah,
those.
absolutely. I think
Yeah.
that's definitely doable. On my side, my virtual staff, that the virtual assistant basically runs my life, which I never seen other than online. She manages all of my schedule, all of my rescheduling, all the follow-ups, all the confirmations. So literally, if I have like 15 appointments in a day, 98% of it happens and they show up because I systemize it just like you said. It says, look, if I'm coming to any kind of Zoom calls, meetings, whatever, make sure they're there, make sure I show up, and make sure I'm prepared. So she always creates this summary of what was the history of the conversation, what's the topic of this meeting, and then she follows up. So, man, I can't figure out any other way to operate, and then she's just doing all of this.
Amazing. And it took you some while to find this particular VA who's really good at this. Let's talk about, the quality of VAs and what they're capable of, because a lot of people have a limiting beliefs of, yeah, well, do they have accents? Can they speak English? Can they write English? And I'm like, what are you talking about? We have VAs that run our law firms for us.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds. You talk about like the capacity of VAs and what they could handle.
There's really the capacity is up to you and how much you train them and how much instructions you give them and how you maintain your standard. Because some people just keep lowering their standard or the expectation until it meets the other party. I keep the standard and say, look, if I come to the meeting, I want all of these things prepared. There's no compromise on it. It's like one piece is missing. It's not acceptable. So I keep the standard and I compensate them for outperforming and being available off hours. Mine is 7 days a week, sort of like 24/7. I don't know how she does it, but she does it and she gets compensated for it, which I could never purchase that kind of a service locally. So my virtual assistant has two other virtual assistants helping her. That's how much volume it is. So I'm just scaling that too. It's like one person is not enough to do everything I want to do. So it's amazing, and I keep scaling it. Like I have one assistant who just does research for me because I was found myself spending like 10 hours a week doing research because I'm curious. I want to know about things, about people, about technologies, about everything. I said, look, I already know what I'm looking for. I just write it down, usually on the weekend, send it to her, and says, research. One of the things that I just recently did with that, I said, I want to know every AI company out there right now that can assist in the marketing of a law firm. I thought maybe she's going to come back with like 5. She came up with like 48 companies. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. It would have taken me probably like 2, 3, 4 hours to do it, and I just got it done pretty quickly. So those kind of things has been tremendously helpful to scale it.
Amazing. And how do you delegate that out? Is that done through email?
All email, very short one-line email. Her name is Melody. I said, Melody, I need this thing researched and I need it by Monday. Boy, comes Monday, the whole thing is done. And it's like magic almost.
Amazing. Imagine, emails is one way to communicate. I've actually literally been brainstorming around this the last couple of days. One certain place where I could delegate things out to different people from one place instead of me needing to figure out who is it, and finding the email address, etc. I'm trying to figure out how to use Todoist, which is basically how I keep track of my to-do things that I need to do. There's a way to say tag it as, let's just say AI, tag it as research, tag it as so, and then that tag directly communicates those instructions to that person. And that's from one platform, able to just based on tag, go to kind of delegate that.
I did a Google Drive. I created a folder per name of the 3 assistants I have. Each one has a folder about a specific project. And every project they do, every Google Sheet, every Google Doc they create, they put it in there. I can search it. Can archive it. I can keep adding to it. So I basically told them this is a project bucket. Every project I give you guys, you put it in here. And that's how I track it.
Great. Going back to our conversation of our typical day, I'm going to share with you, today, it's a Thursday for us. And for me, Thursday is a very special day because I get to come down to our office here. And the best part is I get to meet up with you. And we kind of build up,
same here.
Right? We built up this habit like 2 or 3 years ago from us at least meeting each other in person once a week. We do talk on a daily basis. But what I try to do is before I get here, I only have about 90 minutes of work. And the funny part is, it's a lot of work that needs to be done. But because I only have 90 minutes, I literally get through it. So I could take an Uber here. And that's another part that I'm going to attribute to you. Hamid basically forced me to take an Uber to places because during that time is money. During that time, even 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you could get a lot of work done. And it's been amazing. During that time, you're sitting behind a car, you actually have very good focus. So I'm on my phone delegating things out, planning things, strategizing. So that way when I'm having the conversations where I'm doing things, I already have the time to put it down and create a process out of it. And then finally get to here.
Absolutely, because the thing I always say is that if you have any value for your time, that you think your time worth more than, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks an hour, you should never drive during work. Because you're basically cheating yourself out of it. It's like if I'm driving in an hour and I value my time $500 an hour, I can have the biggest Uber ride and not even cover 10% of that.
Right.
So it's like, why do I want to drive? Like I can sit in the car with my laptop, with my tablet, with my cell phone. Even on the phone conversation, I make more money sitting in the Uber than ever. So it's sort of forbidden for any professional that has value for the hours that they work to be driving anywhere and sit in traffic.
And it really adds up. That's 30 minutes, 40 minutes. A lot of people try to spend time to save money. That never made sense to me. I'm like, are you calculating this? Because if you're sitting, there's a typical one is sitting at a Costco gas station. That makes no sense. If you actually break that down, I saw it recently who watched the video. It's like your time is literally $2 an hour if you're sitting here at this Costco gas station. So what are you doing? So again, it's very important to kind of be
absolutely, and also
critical.
making it efficient. One of the things that you did with these meetings that we do, in a typical scenario, we would have to sit down for like 8 hours to cover every topic that me and you work on, or the projects or the law firms we work with together. You organize it to basically do it in 90 minutes because we said we have 90 minutes
Not even 90 minutes.
to do this. Yeah, we end up going off tangent a lot.
Yeah.
But in that 90 minutes, we typically cover 8 hours of any average planning, catching up and things like that we do in the 90 minutes or less. So that itself is a skill set.
Putting it down on paper.
Putting it on paper, have the right format, the right amount of information, and give it enough time to make a decision. Don't go around the loop and just talking about the same thing, repeating yourself. The other person repeats it. It's like 1, 2, 3, T, yes or no? Okay, yes. Next. 3, 4, 5. Yes or no? No. It's almost like you're doing a survey, not having a whole talk around it, which is a lot of waste of time.
Right.
Me and you are just probably the most ultimate efficient, person
instinctually just moving things forward.
Yes.
Without really sitting on it too long. So that's great. So that's what it looks like. And then we spend the rest of the day just hanging out, essentially.
Yeah,
just talking.
or doing things like this.
And
it's a new trend.
Yeah, it's a new thing. Yeah, if you want us to keep it going, let us know because it's something I want to bring up for today's topic is the biggest trends we see for this year, 2023, and potentially that will lead to many years after that. So Hamid, let's start with you. What's one trend that you see?
One of the big trend is law firms realizing that they don't need to work on every single case that comes to the door. And traditionally, they were sort of, even in their own practice area, I don't care if it's employment, PI, any other things, and understand the cost of the operations based on the case that it comes in, and is that profitable or not? Everybody was hugging clients. Now the new trend is finding the most efficient way to give those cases to other people who are needier than you, basically.
They're needier than you, or they have specialties in certain things, or they're able to maximize those case values.
Or they're more efficient, or they're more streamlined, they're more scalable, whatever it is.
There's a lot of good benefits.
Yeah, and I did one of the first calculations several years ago about what's the net average profit per case in a PI firm in California? And that was 27% on the good average firm.
Net
not
profit
the best,
margin, you said?
net profit margin.
Okay,
27%.
Good.
And we're just trying to bring it to actually to like 30, 33, which will increase the profitability.
Which takes a lot of effort and
a lot of effort, a lot of
lot of-
restructuring, hire new people, do this, do that, all kind of stuff. And then I came across a situation that says, somebody said, look, if I take these cases off your hand, I can give you 40%. I'm like, wow, that's the fastest scaling of profitability from 27% to 40%. And I don't have to touch anything? No, you just give me the case. Okay, all yours. So that trend started.
And they're happy.
Everybody's happy. Even
Everybody's
the
happy.
client's happy because the client will get less attention in my firm than will do on his firm. So he's happy. And the case gets treated better most of the time. And he's making his money, I'm making my money. Perfectly scalable. So I only get to work on the cases that I want. In the beginning, it was a little difficult with the people to sort of digest that. I give my case that I worked so hard to bring to the door, that I have a staff handling it, giving it to Sam. Why? I just keep it. After they saw the trend, now the trend is the opposite. It's like I'm almost now stopping some people just refer everything out. It's like, God's sake, keep something. You're still a law firm, do some of them. But they say it's so easy and profitable. If I just throw it out there and get my 40, 50, 33%, whatever. It varies between practice style. But that's definitely the trend.
And again, on this show, we talk about the business of law. So again, we have the clients in mind too, but on our show, we really focus on the business of things. And again, you broke it down to numbers, 27 profit margin or getting 40%. If you play the math there, the answer will be pretty clear.
Absolutely. You know where this is coming from?
What?
It's from the old e-commerce mentality that instead of buying it, warehousing it, packing it, and shipping it, I just do drop ship.
Drop shipping, yeah.
Right? So this is drop ship. I get the order, and I'm just throwing it out somewhere out there where somebody's going to do all of that work, and ship it, and I make the net profit, and I have no warehousing. And the warehousing is expensive. Having cases in-house is also warehousing.
And behind the scenes, this is happening a lot. And,
A lot.
And the trend is growing.
And some people are not as open and upfront about it because they sort of still feel like embarrassed about sending the cases out to somebody else to work. But behind the scene, you'll be shocked how much of it is actually happening.
Totally.
So that's definitely one of the trends.
Nice. One trend that I see is elimination of people. As weird as it sounds, elimination of people. Obviously, this is being brought out by AI. A report just came out just very recently. It was the first white paper of analyzing ChatGPT 4.0. There was a group of researchers that basically been able to analyze from the beginning. Apparently, ChatGPT 4.0 that just came out has been being built out since October. So they were there from the beginning. They've been literally psychoanalyzing this. A lot of people, by the way, that test out ChatGPT are like, oh, it gets things incorrectly. That's based on the prompt that you give it. If you give it a much better prompt and more specific prompt, then it gives you better answers. So a lot of people question it. That means you haven't really tested it to its true capability. But these people that are experts at taking a bar exam and putting up against the ChatGPT, they were able to kind of figure out that, hey, from ChatGPT 3.5, there was a 10% bar percentile to now 90%. So literally went from the dumbest lawyer to the smartest lawyer overnight. And the same people also basically shared that essentially I believe 80 to 90% of the entire workforce will 100% get affected by this in some shape or form, including professionals and including lawyers.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a biggest probably the advocate of this AI platform and AI technology because I've been in data warehousing, data mining for probably 25 years, 30 years before any of this stuff existed. And it just popped up. And it's crazy where a lot of the younger attorneys now, when we're having a meeting with them, one of the questions that has never been asked before is like,
hey, hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you're a lawyer and you're looking to work smart, scale fast, and enjoy life, right below this video, you'll find a link to book a call to speak to my team so we can tell you how we've been able to help over 500 law firm owners scale their law firm. Now back to the video.
how many years do I got before AI replaces me? They actually ask me that. It's
You
a trend.
You give an answer to somebody, and then they said, and then the answer came back to me, and I'm like much sooner than that, Hamid.
Yeah, because I'm giving it like
said
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. I'm like, no, Hamid, more like 3 to 5 months.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was shocked that they how quickly caught on. Where if I meet with like I don't know, 20, 30 attorneys a month, now 1/3 of them ask that question: is that how much time do I got to actually be replaced? What do I need to do to prevent me being basically out of the business with the AI implementation?
I think the best thing is to understand it and figure out applications that you can solve big problems.
And get in front of it.
And get in front of it. And anybody can do this. Everyone thinks like you have to be an AI. Nobody's an AI expert at this point. And it's play ball. It's like I've never seen a more play ball to go take advantage of something that could really, literally, for you to make $1 billion or for you to have
Absolutely.
a big impact. So
I also had one of the first happening too is that I met with a young attorney who's been practicing for about 3 years, and he wanted to open up his own shop. So he was asking me, so what is the process? What are all the steps I need to do to set up my practice? And I was going throughout the list, and I said, look, there's this company, LegalSoft can definitely do all of this for you, set up your practice from A to Z and so forth. And he sort of drew the line in between all the things to do and says, well, I won't need the whole thing. I just need half of it because the ChatGPT is going to replace all of this. And I'm like, whoa, okay, it's good. You're a little bit ahead of it. So you only now need half of the recipe. You don't need the full recipe because the other half, ChatGPT is going to produce it. And he was right.
Yeah.
ChatGPT will do that.
Yeah. Just literally in the past 2 or 3 days, it's been 4 different instances where I got stuff to do. And I'm able to bypass so much of that work, but just again, it's not an end all. Give me the final thing, no, but it does get you 80-90% of the way there, and then from that you go to take that and optimize it and make it better. But what I was going to lead to was that this elimination of people is that law firms have a dependency of your team members to run the day to day,
Right.
but that, as we both know really well, that requires a lot of management, a lot of dancing,
A lot of headache, a lot of expenses, a lot of everything.
a lot of going through and finding the right people. So more and more technology is going to replace more and more of those. And it's something, again, thinking deeply about and actually applying. And let me share one of those things that how we're applying in last week's video about how we're trying to figure those things out and actually implement it. Definitely, it's going to be
definitely this replacement
lot.
of. In fact, I had a conversation with a client who has a big employment firm, and the plan for 18 months from now that we rolled out is that the only staff that this law firm has, this is right now about 60 people law firm and about 12 attorneys, that in 18 months they're only going to have attorneys as a staff. They're eliminating everything else. We're helping them do that with getting everybody virtual, from the paralegals to case managers to intake to the admin to the marketing. Everything we're replacing for them with the virtual staff. So they only be a law firm with 26 attorneys. That's it. Everything else is eliminated and became virtual.
I want to bring a really hot topic right now. You're going to enjoy this one. So I had an employee who worked for our company for about 4 or 5 months, and he picked up a lot of clues about how we're running things. And he was basically, and this is about since 6 months ago, he resigned, and met up with him 2 days ago, and he shared with me that he's doing really, really well. So much so that he bought an Aston Martin.
Oh wow, he's doing good.
Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, you don't know? I'm doing this thing called overstacking or overemployment. Have you heard of this? Overemployment. No. Okay, let me put it out there again. We love addressing elephants in rooms and just laying out there, and just want everybody to come in, tune in to hear these behind the scenes things that people don't talk about. W-2 employees are essentially taking on multiple W-2 roles. Mm-hmm. So they go find the job post, 100, as long as 100K or more. They go interview. Can you do this job? Yes. Okay, they get hired. They go back to the job boards, take on the job interview. Can you do this? Yes. They sign multiple W-2 roles, and they basically stack on multiple full-time jobs, so much so even 4, 5, 6, as many as they can handle. If the company finds out, okay, oh well, get resigned, but I still have three,
Four other
other
jobs.
more. And literally, there's some people going around making money. Obviously, not morally right, and as an employer, it doesn't think right. And also looking back, I'm like, hey, maybe he was doing that while he was with me. But something for you to have in mind, if you have people that are working virtually for you, make sure you have it in your offers and your the employee handbook and in your agreement, and you're very crystal clear, and you have all those checks and balances to make sure that this is not happening, because this is happening, and be on the lookout for those.
Absolutely. This happened about 6 months into COVID that I found out, and I give you a couple of stories about that too. And even like with me, which we basically help all the law firms to hire all the virtual staff in the world, but it's a $10 an hour thing, not 50, 70 dollar an hour for a remote paralegal or whatever. And we found out that exactly what's happening, what you mentioned, is that if I cannot watch them on the Zoom the whole 8 hours, or I cannot record their screen and their calls, I don't want to work virtual. If they're going to go work virtual, I want them in the office right in front of me. Even that is very challenging. I can't even get that kind of a staff to be 100% efficient and productive. So the double stacking, even so far, but I had people come to the office for an interview for like a marketing position or account management position. And in their resume, I found out, you know how they put like from 2020 to 2022, this and that. He had 3 jobs posted in there that is still continuing. And I said, okay, you forgot to update your resume. These positions, you left this company and did it. He goes, no. And I'm like, seriously? So you worked 3 companies? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, wow. You've gone to the whole new level. You're that open about it that I'm basically like what you said. Is that 3 W-2s simultaneously, and you're not ashamed of it?
And these government agencies that take, as an employer, like we're taxed, I think, above the 50% rate here in California and Los Angeles. There's the EDD, I believe, right? I believe it's the agency in California who's in charge of employers. How come they're not able to track this and be able to just report this if there's multiple employers?
Because they don't know the arrangements or the hours requirement for W-2. It's just a way of the employment and paying taxes on it. You could have 7 W-2s going to you, and EDD don't care at all.
There's no clarity on how many hours.
They don't care. They're collecting the taxes. Every time you make $1, they make 50 cents. So they want you to make all the dollars in the world. I don't care who you're doing it to or how you're doing it. I'm getting 50% of what you make. So make a lot more. Go get 8 more jobs if you can. I get my taxes.
Wow. That's scary.
Yeah, right.
So be on the lookout. I've been now psychoanalyzing everybody that I'm working with.
It's huge because when I talk to some of my friends in Silicon Valley, where almost everybody works remote, so many of them have 2 or 3 jobs, or they have their own companies and work 2 other places, because each company just basically requires them for 2 or 3 hours, paying them full time for 8 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a big trend.
But it's not sustainable, unfortunately, and it's just trying to take a shortcut in life. Unfortunately, those things don't really pan out. I found a lot of people that also have side hustles. Mm-hmm. Those types of people, again, it doesn't really work out because they're always, it's an opportunity. It's like finding the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and there's never consistency, and there's no going deep into something. Again, that expertise and mastery comes from being into something. And then some people say 10,000 hours, some people say a decade. Yours has been 30, 40 years. But that expertise really comes when you go.
I have a question for you. You were saying that in your last coaching session through a legal funnel, you had like 300 or 400 attorneys on the session, and sometimes you have a couple of 100, 300. How many of those attorneys were working from home? What's your estimation of how many of those 300 attorneys who join your session were actually people who go to their office or somebody else's office?
That's a good question. I've never been able to collect that data. My estimation, from what it seems like, I think 90%. I don't know. I think I'm just be estimating.
Basically trying to figure out the demographic of the attorneys who follow you or join your sessions, because that also ties into AI. So when you have 300 of attorneys sitting there, just collecting their demographic, like some things like we said about how many of them working from the office, how many of them worked on other law firms before they set up their law firms. And all of those things, I think it is a perfect demographic information for you to find out and be able to target similar folks. But imagine you feeding that into an AI platform. This AI platform going to find out every identical person to that 300 people and bring you 3,000 of them and say, this is not 3,000 on the top of that 300 you had.
Yeah.
You should be coaching and working with them also.
Well, Facebook has that.
Yes, they
Yeah,
do the
yeah.
targeting, but they
Yeah.
still don't use the AI for that.
They do.
They use the data. There's a data mining that they do. I'm sure they have bridged into some AI platform for it, but this is something that is going to be available to everybody. What they have to be as a proprietary for a multi-billion-dollar company resource is going to be like available to you. So you can do the same thing that a Facebook does.
Nice, nice. Let's bring up another trend that we brought up earlier, that we talked before this, but it's the trend with conferences. So Hamid, this will be kind of fun because Hamid has been going to conferences for the last couple of years, and I've kind of stayed back, and I've been kind of focusing more on the virtual scene.
Absolutely. When I was in the high-tech industry, we had like, I don't know, 30, 40 conferences a year for the entire high-tech industry.
And out of those,
hardware, software, firmware, communication, all that stuff.
and how many would you go per year?
I would go probably to like 4 or 5 a year.
Okay, that's not bad. I thought you were going to say like 10, 15.
No, because there aren't that many.
Yeah.
So when I came to the law industry, I figured out it was a smaller market than the high-tech, because high-tech is international. People come from all over the world. And I started looking at the conferences, and I thought, well, maybe I can find 30, 40, 50, 100. God, I don't know how to count it anymore. It's like there's a tremendous amount of conferences of any type or shape for the legal industry. So when we started with the legal stuff, we started sort of prioritizing and then going to them, and then a whole bunch of different crowd comes and goes. And I got to analyze it to see, is this really all productive? Is this really add value, or do you get any ROI from this stuff? Not only from the exhibitor point of view, also from the attendees. Half of the attendees sort of like lost, and it looked like they want to get away from the office, and they just showed up, and they don't have any goals or objective to be at that session. But is a trend, and I'm seeing it growing and growing, and more comes about. It's almost like a getaway thing for the attorneys. So that was an issue that I realized, and now we go to about 2-3 conferences a month just from LegalSoft point of view benefits, but it's crazy how many of them are there.
And I feel like, and then I've taken the other route, the more of the virtual route, is like, why would I need to go to a conference? Which could be fun, and I think it's fun, but obviously also it's not easy, the traveling and leaving your family behind. Why would I need to do that when I could just, put up ads or create videos and reach hundreds and thousands of people at the same time, with less effort, essentially. But I feel like I also at the same time built up now this network that I had, people that know me, that have been nurtured and been hearing my voice and see my voice, and I feel like I'm like, what's gonna happen when I finally show up in person? What's gonna happen? It'll be kind of interesting. But we decided also, we have in our plans, in our pipeline, to be able to create our own live event.
Right.
And we have our own vision with this. And I, kind of seeing these conferences from an outside perspective and hearing about it, it seems like very traditional. It's always the hotel. It's always hundreds of people with booths and these lectures, and you have gift baskets or whatever. There's things that people give away. It's like, in my head, I'm like, so typical, and that's the reason why I came to the scene, is to disrupt this whole thing and like come up with a better way, more efficient way, more fun way, more social way to do this. So when we were having meetings for us to sit this together, I'm like, listen, the most important thing is I want to make sure that it's different and that it's fun.
It has value.
And has
it
value.
brings value.
Yeah, but fun first before value.
By the way, correction is going
Yeah.
to the conference is not fun. At least not from our point of view. It's a lot of work, a lot of
as
a lot of labor.
Yeah.
Even for the people who just say they live their practice, they live their family, they live their routine, and they go to the conference. It's expensive. They have to pay for it and everything. But this has some value. Some of the value that I notice, I 100% on your camp about the virtual is great, but a lot of the people who come to conferences are the people who are not reachable per se online. They're sort of closed about that. It's like they want to go and meet people in person. Or the conversations I have with attendees at the conference is very different than ones I have on the Zoom. is more engaging and is more in depth. And if we look like we both want to get something out of this conversation or out of this conference because we both paid money and spent time to get here, so we have more value for that time that we're spending together. So that's the one I found the most. And the second part is at one shot in one day, being exposed not to a lot of people, also a lot of different services and technologies and providers, which I would typically not go online and search for. It sort of like hits you in the face, but you say, oh, I didn't know there was a service for that, or that kind of software exists, or something like that. So those are the added benefits. But to the point of saying it's saturated, it's definitely saturated. There's like just way too many.
There are some conferences that are better than others. Let's be frank. And there are some that's probably a complete waste of time. People, most probably 80 to 90% of people that could go to a certain conference come back and be like, I'm not going to go back. And what we're trying to do, I think what we're trying to do is we want to make people feel good when people come to our live event. I wouldn't think about it. It's not a conference. It's a live event. Get to meet each other in person, have fun. But I want people to feel amazing when they leave. And, because people most of the time remember how they feel, not necessarily what you said. So I think that comes, it's foremost first before we even get into the content side of things.
They got to look at the ROI from it. It doesn't matter anything, is the investment of time and resources. When you're going to attend these things, making sure you're going to the tracks that is really benefits your practice, and you're just sitting there listening, or when you don't pay attention, you don't like it. So it's very important to be going to the ones that is going to add value to yourself as a person and as a practice.
Totally. And I could attest that when we finally get to meet those people that we haven't met, that we've been able to have relationships over online, and we finally get to meet them, it's my favorite part. One of my favorite part of like doing this is finally getting to meeting the people that I've built up so much relationship through online. So it's a lot of fun, and it's like always the times like it's the most enjoyable by far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Is there any other trends that you see?
Well,
talked about conferences, talked about elimination of some certain jobs.
Well, the biggest trend that we always talked about, and me and you were both huge advocate and users of it, is this virtual thing, this virtual staffing, virtual resources. Technology is doing things for you virtually. It's like that virtual law firm, like we talked about, with AI, without AI, everything, eventually is going to be 90% virtual. And that's the biggest trend. And when you look at all the publications, all the books, all the conferences, all the masterminds, I have a list of like 180 masterminds in the legal industry, and 90% of them have a track on virtual something. So that's definitely a big trend, and it's going to go on and it's going to grow until it's completed, just like the .com era. Now it's like .com is given for the past 20 years, but it was a big trend, it was a boom, and it happened. The virtual is not that.
And all this technology and virtual and all these systems and things that we talk about, I think also consolidates the entire market, because the people that really are open and apply these things that are, again, things are constantly evolving, you either adapt or you literally die. So definitely it'll be a big, disparity between the people that grow from this or the people that
going to be left behind.
Yeah, left behind. So
there's going to be I will say there's going to like a 50-50 split there.
Mine is going to be 80-20. The 80-20 I feel like it comes anywhere in life, especially when it comes to growth and success. So I want the people that are like follow us and are engaged with us to be part of that 20%. Let's make a bunch of, we want to be that 20%, and let's let the market be the 80%.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. Well, it's been fun.
It's been great.
We'll continue doing these on Thursdays. And again, if there's any certain topics or things you want us to cover, let us know. If not, we'll come up with our own topics and keep it going. We'll always try to share all the behind the scenes, kind of big picture kind of stuff and things that people don't really talk about. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.